Okay, we're in section 113 today, and this is where things start to change drastically. I don't think we have anything again in Kirtland, Ohio. The Saints are now moving to far west Missouri, and this answers to certain questions given by Joseph Smith at far west Missouri, and also what's his name? Elias Higbee, which we'll talk about in a second. I don't know why his name's not in the front here, but it's not. So, Joseph Smith in Far West, probably just a bunch of mud and dirt mostly at the time. And what else are you going to do but talk about Isaiah? So, I'll get right into it. Who's the stem of Jesse spoken in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th verses of the 11th chapter of Isaiah? Let's see what that says. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, and the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, and the Spirit of counsel, and might, the Spirit of knowledge, and the Spirit of fear of the Lord, and shall make him of quick understanding, and in the fear of the Lord. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor and the reproved, with iniquity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth. With the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And the righteous shall be shall be the gird of his loins, and faithfulness the gird of his reins. So he's asking, what is the stem? He'll ask what the rod is and what the root is. So the stem of Jesse, as we just read, verily thus saith the Lord, it is Christ. What is the rod spoken of in the first verse in the chapter of Isaiah, 11th chapter of Isaiah? That should come out of the stem of Jesse. So we got the stem, and then we got a rod, another branch, basically. Behold, thus saith the Lord, it is a servant in the hands of Christ, who is partly a descendant of Jesse, as well as of Ephraim, or of the house of Joseph, on whom there is laid much power. I haven't looked at the thing for Ephraim. Several things there. I'm not going to go into that right now. Sorry, I just got interested. Get sidetracked. There's so much you can go into on these sometimes. What is the root of Jesse spoken of in the 10th verse of the 11th chapter? And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles and his rest seek, shall be glorious. The Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. Okay. Behold, thus saith the Lord, it is a descendant of Jesse, as well as of Joseph, of whom rightly belongs the keys of the priesthood. Belongs the priesthood and the keys of the kingdom for an ensign and for the gathering of my people in the last days. Now we have questions by Elias Higbee. So who was Elias Higbee? Elias Higbee was born in Galloway, New Jersey in 1818. So he's quite a young man, younger than Joseph Smith. He married Sarah Elizabeth Ward. He was baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints the summer of 1832 in Jackson County, Missouri. He was ordained an elder the following year, and he and other saints were driven from Jackson County. So he's one of the Jackson County group. Like I say, sometimes we don't put names to faces, but this is one of them. Or when we hear about the Jackson County people, it's hard to remember who was there because there was, but he was one of them. In 1834, he was ordained a high priest by Orson Pry, and in 1835, he served a mission to Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana and Ohio. Not Idaho. Wasn't even a state then. For a time, he labored on the Kirtland Temple. Then he returned to Missouri, where he served on 2 high councils. In 1836, along with John Corrill, he was appointed a church historian in 1838. That summer, Higbee was appointed captain of the General Society of the Daughter of Zion, or the Danites. He participated in a skirmish at Crooked River near Ray County, Missouri, in October 1838. He then fled Missouri, eventually locating at Commerce, Illinois, which was later renamed as Nauvoo. In October 1839 to March 1840, he traveled with Joseph Smith to Washington, D.C. to seek redress for the saints in Missouri, for the saints' Missouri grievances, which, he's seen the whole thing, the whole gambit. So he's probably a good person to go with, Joseph. He became a member of the Nauvoo Building Committee in 1840, and he died in 1843. People like this, sometimes we don't see them as much because they're not in the scriptures as much. But they're faithful people who live faithful lives and tries to live the way the Lord would want them to live. And he dies by 1843 before. So he wasn't very old either, because he's like almost 12 years younger than the prophet himself. I think. Oh no, 1795. I thought he's married in 1818. Sorry, he was about 10 years older than the prophet. But still, that's still young. And he's walking along with the prophet and asks his questions. At least that's how I picture it, them walking along. And questions by Elias Higbee. What is meant by the command in Isaiah 52nd chapter, first verse, which saith, "Put on thy strength, O Zion"? And what people had Isaiah reference to? Awake, awake. This is very famous as well. So, put on thy strength, O Zion. Put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the city, for henceforth there shall no more come unto thee the uncircumcised and the unclean. He had reference to those whom God would call in the last days, who would hold the priesthood hold the power of the priesthood to bring again Zion and the redemption of Israel. And to put on her strength is to put on the authority of which the priesthood, which she, Zion, has the right by lineage, also to return to that power which she had lost. What are we to understand by Zion losing herself from the vans of her neck in second verse? So that's the second question. You are to understand that the scattered remnants are exhorted to return to the Lord from whence they had fallen, which if they do, the promise of the Lord is that he will speak to them or give them revelation. See verses 6th, 7th, and 8th verses. The bands of her neck are the curses of God upon her, or the remnants of Israel in their scattered condition among the Lamanites. So how they have forgotten their covenants and the laws that God had given them because of their scattered condition. So that is this week's reading, and I think what I'm getting from most of this is, even though this is, oh, we've got one more. I'm sorry, I forgot about David W. Patton. Again, this is someone, his name was more known than Elias Higbee, but they both end up dying. David W. Patton actually dies only a few months after this revelation, actually. But this revelation, him being part of the 12, has some significance beyond David W. Patton himself, but also we see somebody faithful because he died the way that he would have wanted to die, in defending the saints. The revelation given through Joseph Smith the prophet at Far West, Missouri, April 1838. Verily, thus saith the Lord, it is wisdom in my servant, David W. Patton, that he settle up his business as soon as possible. So who was David W. Patton? I think we've already talked about it before, I'm not sure. But so he was 1799 to 1838. And David W. Patton was born in Vermont. He married Phoebe and at Babcock in 1828. He was baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints by his brother John Patton on June 15th, 1832, and ordained an elder. 2 days later, he was ordained a high priest by Hiram Smith. About 2 months later, in December 1833, he helped deliver dispatches from Joseph Smith to church leaders in Clay County, Missouri. In 1835, Patton was ordained a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. Between 1832 and 1835, Patton served missions to the Michigan Territory, the eastern United States twice, and the southern United States. and Tennessee. Patton moved to Far West Missouri in 1836. He was a member of the presidency of the pro tempore of the church in Far West in 1838 and active in Latter-day Saint attempts to defend Caldwell County, Missouri. He was mortally wounded, and again during the skirmish at Crooked River near Ray County, Missouri, on October 1838. He died near Far West, and we'll see more about him in a couple of sections as we get closer to that fateful time. So again, someone that's really faithful and wanted to defend the saints. But these commandments are ones that are supposed to go beyond his martyrdom, but also pertains to the 12. And he settled up all his business as soon as he possibly can, and make a disposition of his merchandise that he might perform a mission unto me next spring in the company with others, even 12, including himself, to testify of my name and bear glad tidings unto all the world. For thus saith the Lord, that inasmuch as there are those among you who deny my name, others shall be planted in their stead to receive their bishopric. Amen. I think that is pretty much true in all aspects of the gospel. Anybody who denies the name of the Lord is planted. Basically, growing up, one of the sayings was that the church will go forward with or without you. It's so much better when it goes forward because of you. And I hope as you go throughout the day that you'll remember the church will go forward with or without you, but let it go forward because of you. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.